Oh, hey everyone, thanks for coming by. So we got a fresh new chapter of Vigilantes to go over today, and I gotta say, if they're amping up for this to possibly be the final arc, or at least the second to last arc of the series, the stakes are just getting higher and higher. But by now you guys know the drill. This video is gonna have spoilers in it for My Hero Academia and My Hero Academia Vigilantes Chapter 96. If you're behind on Vigilantes, the 3 most recent chapters are free to be read on viz.com, so if you're not caught up, read it and then head on back. But before you do me a solid and hit that subscribe button, and when you click the notification bell, make sure you change it from personalized to all. That way you never miss a live premiere here on the channel. But without further ado, let's go inside and grab a drink. Welcome to the bar, folks. So we're not going to spend too much time over here at the bar today because there's just so much to break down and talk about. I mean, this chapter of Vigilantes was just dumping foreshadowing events left and right, and at some points in the chapter, it felt like it was actually alluding to the main story, My Hero Academia. There's just so much to talk about, so let's head over to the wall and break down Chapter 96. Chapter 96 starts off with this amazing cover page. So while the English variant is cool, I kinda like the Jump Plus variant a lot more. You know, when it gets its English translation, a lot of the cover gets cleaned up. But when I really look at this one, I kinda just get the vibe that they're a team of vigilantes. This one just kind of looks like a badass album cover. Anywho, the chapter starts with a bit of an update to our crowd of C-list characters, and it turns out the place to stay on the up and up about Pop and Koichi is the Hopper Cafe. The Hada Bros let everybody know inside of the cafe that Popstep's condition hasn't changed. She hasn't gotten better, but she hasn't gotten worse. So Midnight, the person who's been in contact with the Hopper Cafe, wants them all just to go about their normal day and not worry themselves sick. When she finds out something, she'll make sure that everybody knows. And it's kinda sad to see Pop's friends feel so helpless. It kinda makes me hope that in a way they'll be able to help out the vigilantes. But I kinda think I know why they're being shown. This guy. Who the hell is he? If someone knows, be sure to write it in the comments, but usually when a random friggin' dude shows up, it spells for disaster. Cause I got a feeling that maybe this dude is number 6. The only thing that would deter me from that thinking is the fact that he walked in with somebody, which would mean that he possibly has a new Queen Bee. If that's the case, number 6's plan could be to force Koichi out into the open and attack him, or this is just his initial plan to get the police to stop guarding the hospital so he can waltz in and kill Popstep. The fact that number 6 is dropping so much chaos into the world is mind-blowing, and to me at least, number 6 is definitely earning his place as a great villain in My Hero Academia, period. That is, if this Starburns ass motherfucker right here turns out to be number 6. Anywho, after they allude to the cafe being destroyed once again, we move back to Koichi. He talks about how he's got 2 phones now, one for the plug and one for the hose, and that he can only turn on his personal phone for a limited amount of time once a day. We don't know how long Koichi has been holed up on this roof, but it's safe to say that it's been a decent amount of time for his mom to start bugging out like that. And I mean, this is actually another scene where there's so much to infer, particularly during the brief texting conversation and the first interaction we see with Koichi and his dad, who does feel pretty aloof in the way that he texts. It's all about punctuation, people. And the fact that he texted and didn't call. Calling and leaving voicemails are kind of like a mom thing, but a text pops up, and if you open them, certain phones let people know that you did, so he probably doesn't want to ignore his dad. But this scene does make me have hope that Hisashi Midoriya will be introduced in My Hero Academia pretty soon. I know that's a pretty strong pivot from Vigilantes, but now that there's a lot of daddy issue stuff going on in the main branch of the story, Vigilantes adding to it with theirs only makes me speculate more. To be honest, I'd like to find out that Koichi's dad is a pretty tough dude, and that's why Koichi kinda texted him in a way that was confident and concise. It would also explain the sigh of relief after he responds. After he gets done texting his dad, Rapt appears with the goods and snacks from Koichi's apartment, and this scene once again shows us that Koichi is growing into one hell of a hero or a vigilante, whatever you want to call him, because he leaps across the building with no problem, to the extent where Rapt looks at him and is like, "You just gonna fly everywhere now?" And Koichi's expression kinda says it all right now. It's evident that he's mastered his quirk to a certain degree, and to the point where flying is becoming almost second nature to him. He and Rapt then sit down and munch on some convenience store hot dogs when Rapt lets it slip that somebody broke into Koichi's apartment. Though before Koichi can get into a tizzy, Rapt lets him know that Soga went to investigate because he knew that Koichi would get bent out of shape and nervous. And while we see that Koichi does get kinda twisted, it's still not enough to make him abandon his post. We do, on the other hand, see Soga, who is flexing the fact that he's the brand new knuckle duster. I mean, I don't want to say that in the past 3 years he's been training Soga, but he walks into Koichi's apartment and pretty much comes across the same conclusion I did last time. Soga has really proven himself to be one hell of an asset during this entire incident. He's able to look around and kind of deduce that someone broke into Koichi's home and was specifically looking for something. This wasn't your average kind of break-in. Soga walks the now abandoned building that Koichi is the sole tenant for and realizes that there's a bit of a dust pattern that's leading him a certain way. He stumbles into a room and what he sees is like a crate kept in the corner, and he walks over, takes a look inside, and this sound effect appears. And you know what it is? That's a purr mixed with a friggin' engine sound. That's the cat bus. The cat bus is friggin' back, and it's probably planted there by Knuckle Duster, or the big, fuckery could be that this is number 6's hideout too. Soga's discovery is cut short because Moyu calls. It turns out Tsukauchi and the police have finally shown up. Soga then rushes back to the hospital for the confrontation that we've all been waiting for, and during that scene, again, Soga slaps the metaphorical dog shit out of Tsukauchi. And the short debate ends with Soga straight up saying that he's willing to hand over watching the hospital. When Tsukauchi's faced with the eventual fact that the police aren't going to be able to guard this hospital forever, what's he going to do? And that's when Tsukauchi melts down and negotiations go to hell. And they kind of break down honestly because Tsukauchi is just a really, really bad cop in this situation. Like, it's pretty obvious that they're intentionally making Tsukauchi look like a bad guy. And Midnight trying to get in the middle and act as an intermediary just goes even worse because Tsukauchi snaps again and says, you know what, Koichi is now wanted and he's branded a villain. And I'm not saying that what Tsukauchi is saying isn't wrong. Koichi is 100% about to face off against a real villain with horrible intentions. And it's absolutely against the law for him to do so. And in this instance, Tsukauchi is gonna choose violence to apprehend him. Soga then turns to Moyu and tells him to call Koichi, because it's time to wake up. We then see that they had a plan in the event that the cops would show up. And Koichi's wake-up call meant get the hell out of there as fast as possible and lay low. And they do as such. Soga and Koichi bolt from the area, and when I mean bolt, Koichi looks like he is straight up flying here. That ain't a jump. And with the chase beginning, Tsukauchi manages to lower the security even more by splitting up his own forces to catch Koichi. Though the coup de grace is, he called in some reinforcements, the high-speed hero, Ingenium. And just like that, the chapter ends with the Crawler receiving his villain designation as the high-speed villain, and his one-time friend and racing buddy coming to apprehend him. Now, this chapter was filled with so much fan service. This is one of those chapters that moves the story forward leaps and bounds by planting so many seeds for the future. I mean, unless the next chapter takes a little bit of a sidebar, we can expect a battle between Ingenium and Koichi. But I'm mostly looking forward to in that chapter is who's gonna be faster. I love the fact that speed quirks are a huge focus in Vigilantes. There aren't many beyond Tenya Ida in the main branch, My Hero Academia, so for us to have 3 speedsters interacting with one another is awesome. Not to mention, what a crazy coincidence that they're bringing Tensei back to the story after I just mentioned his ties to the newly jailbroken Stain. There's a remarkable amount of coincidence occurring, and part of me even thinks that during their fight, Ingenium might mention that he's got a little brother who's aspiring to become a hero just like him. Either way, it's gonna be difficult to see the two friends fight one another, but Ingenium's got a job to do. Whether or not he'll have a rematch with the Cat Bus, though, is yet to be said. And before we sign off today, we gotta talk about the antagonist for this arc, Tsukauchi. We've always known for Tsukauchi to be the cop that's always kind of ahead of everybody else, so I have a feeling that he's feigning incompetence. Like, I don't know if I'm giving Tsukauchi too much credit right now, but I have a feeling that he knows that they can't capture number 6 because they know that number 6 isn't going to go anywhere near the hospital as long as the Vigilantes and the cops are there. It was already a pretty ballsy move just to waltz inside of the police station and blow it up. So I do think that in a way, Koichi is being used as bait by Tsukauchi. And with that said, I can't help but think about what might happen at Hoppers. If Hoppers gets attacked, I'd like to think that Eraserhead is going to be the one to come through for the rescue. And maybe his erasure is the thing that stops the new Queen Bee from blowing everything up further. I mean, they did heavily foreshadow the possibility of Hoppers being blown up. Either way, Mr. Top Hat Guy is way too sus not to think about right now. Now, the way that I see this all playing out is Koichi and Ingenium have their fight, or race rather, and mid-race, the cafe blows up. Number 6 was inside the police station. For all we know, he knows the plans to take down Koichi, so he's running a counter-op to Tsukauchi's op, and he's gonna try to do something to splinter Tsukauchi's operation even more. I mean, if they blow up the cafe, that incident would take the police presence and split it 3 ways, giving somebody like number 6 the means to just waltz right into the hospital. Now, whether he'll sneak inside as a patient or he'll just waltz right in is to be said, but in any case, Tsukauchi's plan is pretty wacky, and I have a feeling it's gonna be a big, like, aha moment. Tsukauchi personally reached out to Eraserhead, so that's more than enough means for that guy to show up now. So if he strolls up to the Hopper Cafe and manages to avert disaster, or comes in for the assist on the apprehension of Koichi, there's just a lot to be said. And thinking about it, Eraserhead's quirk is such a deus ex machina to end conflict, it's wild. And the fact that the cat bus might be reappearing is truly hilarious. And look, now it is all but certain that Knuckle Duster is coming back. In what capacity? We don't know. But maybe he's the person who intervenes with Ingenium and ends up giving Koichi the chance to run away and get to the hospital or the cafe. Anyway, that's really all I gotta say about that. If you like today's content, be sure to hit that like button and let me know your theories down below. I put a lot of energy out there and I'm hoping at least one of you will get a good idea. But other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll catch y'all later. Cheers.